Get ready to dance to the beat of Black Girl Boss Magic as we kick off Season 2 of the BrwnGrIz Collective. We're here to salute and amplify the stories of Black women who are crushing it in the business world. From fashion to tech, healthcare to education, these trailblazing women have faced obstacles head-on and emerged victorious. We are diving deep into their journeys, sharing their secrets, and throwing some much-deserved praise their way. So come join the party at the BrwnGrIz Collective, and let's get this celebration of Black female empowerment started. Brown Girls, it's me again, Desiree. I'm here with Candace of Candaces by Candace, and I want to thank her so much for letting us come and do this interview. Can you please tell our audience, our Brown Girls, a little bit about you?
First of all, hey Brown Girls. So, a little bit about me. I am Candace, the word artist, is what I go by. My studio, CWC Studio, Canvases with Candace. I have been in business now, let's see, I just hit 7 years. And it's huge because I actually started a mobile paint and sip company back in 2017 out of my parents' garage with no car.
Well, see, it's making a way. It's making a way.
Seriously, and it was something to do just because I enjoyed it and I needed it from a therapy perspective, like just therapeutically, you know? And I had no idea. Rolling over in my sister's living room one day, making a logo, turned into over like 3,000 followers on, Facebook. Instagram's got like another 2,000 or so, growing TikTok, and just the amount of people we've been able to paint with has been super dope.
We've talked so much in our interviews with past interviewers, and they talk about their story, and it's amazing the things that you fall into, right? I don't think that you search for it and find it. I think it really comes and it finds you, and that's how you know it's meant for you, right? But I really want to focus on what keeps you doing this, after 7 years. I know we talked before we got on interview. I know there's been some challenges. And I want to talk to, that determination that kept you overcoming these challenges over and over again. So I'm gonna start with the first question, right? Can you tell me about your journey of self-discovery and how you discovered your passion? Now, I know you said it started with the logo. Can you go a little bit further into that? Yes.
Totally. Self-discovery to me has been a full journey, and it's still happening. 7 years in, it's still going, it hasn't stopped. I feel like every year I unlock a different level. I open up something different. And so at the very beginning, it was a matter of needing to make some extra money, but needing to do it in a way that I was gonna have fun with it. Because most of the time we all know, if you have a second job, your second job is never that much fun, right? If you're at a point where you need a second job,
sometimes it's personal.
Hello, you ain't seriously, but if you get to the point where you need a second job, it's usually not something that you're gonna enjoy. It's not gonna probably pay you a whole bunch. And so I was like, I need something that I can do that will pay me well in a short amount of time. And I actually went to a paint and sip. I got really sick earlier that year in 2017. I had jaundice. And so I went to a paint and sip. My mom took me. So she was like, oh no, you're getting at the house, this, that, and third. I was like, okay, cool. I go, and it was the first time that I was more focused on what was going on than what everybody was looking at. As far as my skin and my eyes, because my eyes were yellow, my skin looked crazy. And I was more focused on my canvas. And so I've never taken an art class. I haven't gone to school for any of this. As you guys see, I am completely self-taught. 100%, trial and error all the way through. YouTube University, right? Watching videos, watching techniques, learning from other people. And I just pick up on things fast. And I was like, if I can, as a novice artist, need this in my life, other people do too. And that's just where it all started.
And that sounds like the spark, right? Really, and I guess you kind of touched on it just a little bit, but as far as what inspired you, after you decided, this is what I want to invest some of my time into learning, right? Were there challenges or barriers that you faced And tell me how you overcame them, bro.
Well, listen, barrier number one was I started a mobile business and I ain't had no car. Like, let's just keep it 100, right? I had a mobile business with no vehicle. And so that was from November until August of the following year. I did this completely out of Ubers. Friends were giving me rides. And I'm showing up at these people's houses with like random boxes. Nothing matched. It was just whatever I could pick up, whatever I could find, whatever I could buy. So starting off, capital was an issue. Like, I didn't start a company with, $10,000 in the bank and, this whole big business plan and went to the bank and got all this approval. I literally started as an idea with random supplies and kind of built it from there. The beautiful thing in overcoming that was Michael's became my very best friend to start off with. So what's on sale? I'm gonna buy a couple things on sale here. Of course, I had people that gifted me. I had like a business shower, kind of like a baby shower. So I made an Amazon list, and friends and family just kind of would pick up, hey, I'll send you 3 brushes, I'll buy 5 easels. And it just kind of started from there. And belief in what I was doing is, I think, the main thing that helped me overcome any of those obstacles. Because if I couldn't believe, hey, I know I don't have a car, but I want to do this mobile business, I had to build that belief in other people, but I had to believe it so much by myself.
Because I'm sitting here like, I want to. You said your friends and your family, right? They were investing in a dream, knowing that, well, damn, because I can say for some people, they're like, how on social media sometimes you see people talking about it's not going to be your friends and family that support you. I feel like you have a different story. Like, you had that support, and a lot of people don't necessarily understand why. And I want to say, sometimes it's that fire, right? That burning sensation where they see it in your eyes, like, no, she's serious, so let me help her do it a better way, or help her along the way, or whatnot. But that's amazing, and I don't know what to say. Maybe I'm gonna cry, like, damn.
Well, the big thing is it's the expectation that you set for people too. It really came down to a point of, you guys can help if you'd like to. It's gonna get done either way. So either you could watch me struggle doing it, or you can be a part of the process. And not that it was ever really put in those words, but that's just how I've always approached my friends and family, anything that I've done. And so some of that comes from your previous behavior. Like, it doesn't always start with the new idea. Yes.
Oh, see, okay.
Virgo Nation, absolutely.
Okay.
You already know.
Yes, I was like,
Virgo.
Yeah, there we go. I was like, you sound okay. Yeah. Because that's exactly what it is. Because we're very self-sufficient. Like, you can help or sit on the sidelines. Yeah, you can, either way.
Participate,
either way, it's
you
going
got
to
two
happen.
options.
Yes.
And that's it. And I think that became the thing, because at first, my mom knows the story. She gonna watch this interview. She'll be like, you always saying it. But at the beginning, I owe my parents money. And they like, you out here buying art supplies. Since when are you an artist? And it was probably about 6 months or so. It was probably about July-ish, before I got a car, right before I got a car, that my mom actually booked her own party. But again, it was the conversation of, hey, I understand where we are, but I don't know where this is going, but I promise you, if you ride this ride with me, it's gonna go somewhere.
Like, I gotta pay you back, so
That's
I'm
it.
trying to find a way to pay you back.
Come on.
Like, you gotta give some to get some.
That's it. But, and it's not being afraid to step out on that. Like, you have to be real with people. At the end of the day, I remember going to my best friend. We were sitting in IHOP, and I was like, listen, all right, so I got this idea. I need an investor. And I asked for like a wild amount of money. And she was like, how much money do you think I'm gonna give you? She's like, girl, I'm about to easel or something. But sometimes you gotta ask for way more than you're expecting.
And you got some easels.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to have that belief in yourself, and nobody else is gonna have it for you. If you don't make that investment in you, who else is gonna follow?
You got to believe in yourself. Message in this journey. And you talked about those challenges. Like, were there any pivotal moments or experiences that you felt like maybe shaped you for this journey before you got on this journey?
Life. Honestly, I find this about my life in general. Every step has been ordered. And I know that sounds so cliche, and I know it sounds cliche, but I promise y'all that is truly my story. I have gone through, whether it's been outside of art and just even in a professional sense, things have just kind of been put in place. And so in going to that paint event, I connected with the owners of that particular paint company. And so they were like, you know, hey, we're looking for somebody to be an assistant. So I got to kind of learn some of the business aspect before I ever even started it. So this was like over the summer, because I started in November of 17. So over the summer, I got to learn some of those business aspects by being an assistant. How do you set up parties? They were nothing like how I set them up now, but I got a foundation at that point. Even going back, go back even further. I taught preschool. So doing outlines and drawings and things like this, I was so used to drawing kind of like coloring pages for my preschoolers because I didn't necessarily like the curriculum, so I created it. And so even in that aspect, now you know if a 5-year-old tell you it's the fire,
because they don't lie.
So if a 5-year-old tell you it's good, it's good. So I think every step kind of like, there were puzzle pieces that didn't make any sense at the time. But as they started to come together, I mean, leading even up to COVID, I had an idea a year before COVID that I wanted to have worldwide paint parties where I could ship these kits out and people could just do these events and this, that, and third, and everybody would paint at the same time in the month or at least send in their videos. And then a year later, I had that idea in March of 2019, March 2020, COVID hit. And I had no choice but to be virtual.
But guess what? You prepared yourself, and COVID, that whole situation was aligned you for that. Because what did we have to do?
Right.
Nothing. Couldn't go nowhere. I mean, it was crazy. I can't believe that we're in 2024.
Right.
Like that was literally 4 years ago.
That time frame is like time warp.
Yeah, like
it's like it didn't exist, but it did exist.
Yeah, like we all know we can talk about it. We lived through it, but did we?
Right. Twilight Zone. Right?
Yeah.
It feels weird.
I know you talked about, failures and some setbacks, and now, so I want to talk about this determination, right? Because you talked about the fact that you didn't have a car and you made this work, and you also talk about, COVID and how that affected your business, your walking business, and you had to pivot, right? You had to pivot in everything that you did.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through, if you can, and I'm pretty sure you can, but if you can walk us through like your thought process in these moments, like where you feel like everything is going to shit, right? And you're like, okay, well, either I give up or I continue going. Like, can you walk us through? Yeah. Okay.
It's, again, I know this sounds so cliche, and it really comes down to belief. Because when you have a burning desire for something, nothing's gonna stop you, no matter what. Pivots, a lot of people will look at them as, oh, I had to change something. And it's not that you're necessarily making a change, you're flowing differently, right? So if you take a look at a tree, you think of a business, like you've set those roots in those first, year or two. And I feel like that's what I did. Building social media following, things like that. And it wasn't giving me everything I wanted financially, because of course I was investing 80-90% of my party, like all my revenue right back into the company. So at that point I wasn't taking home no profit or anything. And so of course you got the people looking around you like, hey, I invested in this and I don't really see too much happening. I can remember where I would have one party a month and I would have another party for 3 or 4 months. And you start to question, like, do I have a business or do I got like a hobby that looks cute? You start to make, you start to question yourself in those things. But you also have to be consistent. You can't do a party or you can't, sell a product or whatever today, and then because it doesn't sell for 3 or 4 months, you just say, okay, well, I give up. That's what those pivots are. All right, I kind of look at it as like I said, kind of like a tree from branches. If my parties aren't the big thing today, I started doing vending events. So I started creating my own art and selling my art, but letting people know as they're purchasing art, hey, I also do paint parties. Being able to go into schools, that was another big thing. So I went to schools, I made connections with apartment complexes. I had to really think outside the box. And as a business owner, it's not to just follow one path. You have to think outside the box. If you do what the masses are doing, you're not gonna go that far because everybody's doing the same thing. But I cannot even count if there are any other, you could try, I've already been doing it now, but if there are any other paint companies that have reached out to apartment complexes and have contracted with apartments for their community events. I don't know a single other one.
She's not gatekeeping.
I'm telling you. I will give you, and that's the other thing is, these are things nobody talked to me about. So I'm like, why would I first of all, there are way more people than artists in the world, right? So whether you come to a party with me, you can go to a party with somebody else, but in a year from now, I ain't painting with Candace in a minute. Let me holler at Candace and go back and paint with her, because I don't sell paint parties. I sell paint experiences.
And even, and see, and that's what, I've talked to people about too, because people want to dominate the field, right? And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with dominating.
For sure.
We have Jordan, we have, I ain't really into sports, but I hear his name a lot. But, but at the same time, like when you're in this field, like how many stores do we have? How many grocery stores that we have? Like all of these things we have in surplus. Surplus, right? So then when you look at me and you, I might be a painter and you're a painter, and I'm like in competition with you, and I'm like, why? Somebody might like your personality and somebody might hate my personality. So there's somebody out there for everybody. Everybody is not your customer. Right. And I feel like once you go through this certain period, you realize everybody's not my customer. Let me work with those that want to work with me, and I'm not trying to get Sue, Sally, John, Bill, Will, like all these people. I just want Billy and Sally, because they're going to show up every 2 weeks to do a party, or they're promoting me, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. Those are the people. And I feel like a lot of times that's missed. You're trying to service everybody, and I know people talk about it, but do you really understand that, And so I just wanted to add my 2 cents on, because when we talk about God, it's like, and I'm just coming to this message this year. Lean not to your own understanding. And I realize you have to, he's gonna allow you to go to figure out just that. Because you have to understand that you don't understand. You just have to trust and watch the opportunities present themselves and take,
And even with that, I get a lot of people who ask me all the time, Candace, why'd you open up a studio in Lexington? Well, pre-COVID, like right before COVID and coming out of COVID, this is where a lot of my clientele came from, was Lexington. So I was driving out here all the time anyway, so I'm like, look, we're gonna set up shop in Lexington. The building ended up being exactly what I wanted, right where I needed it to be, because there are no other painting tips over here, right? So while it may be a drive for some, but the beauty is, as we talk about those pivots, I do virtual events, I do mobile events, and I do in studio. So that means you can come here for those who may be local to the area, or I can still come to you. I drive out to Blythewood to do parties all the time. I don't have a problem putting my car on the road.
And if you want to get away from the city, like this is like a little escape.
It is. I mean, it's a perfect location. Like I got a restaurant, a convenience store,
and they
good. Yeah, you already know. Amazing. So I know for some people, like they look at it, and that could have been something that was discouraging, right? I can remember a point in time where people are like, well, how many paint parties can one person go to? I have a few clients who over the last 6 years have done at least one party with me every single year from that very first year. Why? Because there's different events that we celebrate. We're not painting the same picture. I let you customize your picture. So you're not painting what I tell you to paint. You done told me what you want to paint. Hey, Candace, I'm going to paint everybody. Okay, cool. Let's set it up.
Remember, I used this.
Seriously. So it's allowing people to be in their creative space. And what I've noticed is whether I'm coming to them or they're coming to me, unlike a lot of public types of events, people are more comfortable in a space that it's a private, curated experience. So if I'm coming to your house, hey, I'm at your house. I end up being Cousin Candace a lot of places I go. Why? Because I'm at your house. So thank you for inviting me in for this experience. And that was something that I had to kind of get past too. And I'm going to be at someone else's house. Like, what should that experience be like for them? I let them tailor that and let me know what they need, and I just provide it.
When I came in here and we were talking about the day-to-day, I want to, like, you don't have to go into your day-to-day, but a lot of times people get into business and they don't know what to expect in business. Like, and I'm gonna speak because I'm a fellow creative. So in my jewelry business, all I wanted to do was create jewelry. I did not know there was this, and that. In order to run a business successfully, you have to wear many hats. You're just not the person creating. You have to be the person behind the scenes too. So can you just tell me a little bit about that experience and
operating procedures, SOPs is what they call them, right? I think that was my biggest thing of figuring out, because a lot of things are in my head. I know what I'm doing. I don't have to explain it to anybody. I just do it, right? But as you grow and as you scale, you do eventually probably want to bring somebody on. And so while I don't have staff right now, I had to start really focusing on what are all the things that I need to have a successful party? Like what are all the items, right? I had to start kind of making checklists. I didn't think about those things at first. Especially in a creative business, it's really easy, like you said, to just want to do the thing and not worry about all the stuff. I did connect with the Office of Business Opportunities, and so the SBA office in OBO, and that was in 2018, 2019-ish. That was a game changer for me. They had this class called Next Level and then another class called Fast Track. A lot of people don't know about these things, and I was just very lucky doing a painting tip, I was doing a live painting.
Let me write this down.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll give you the information though. But every city, so I know you guys come in from, all over the place, right? Every city has a small business association, so your SBA office. Connecting with them is a game changer. They give you resources, how to set up business bank accounts, how to get business insurance, what kind of insurance do you need? So all the things that you don't think about when starting a business, they basically give you that checklist. So while I'm in here making checklists of I need easels, paintbrushes, canvases, paper towels, whatever, they're giving me like an overall business checklist that I was able to start knocking off. And so while I started my business in 2017 on my own as kind of like a side hustle, that is what really elevated me from a side hustle to a business owner. Is understanding what that information is. Figuring out how to make a business plan. What's a SWOT analysis? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What's trending right now? Like figuring those things out is a game changer, and you have to make time to do it. So I like to do admin Monday stuff is usually it, because we don't do parties on Mondays or anything like that. Pick a day. And it don't have to be Mondays. If you work better Wednesday night at midnight on your paperwork, Wednesday night at midnight on your paperwork. I got you. But you have to find a day where either your energy is high enough that you can get the tedious stuff done. Like when you got here tonight, I was just doing inventory, right? So I do inventory on a quarterly basis, based on the parties that I have coming up, what I'm projecting, looking at last year's numbers, like figuring all that stuff out has sucked.
It's not the sexy part.
It's not. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. Of course, we want to talk about, you do paint parties and this and that, like that. Yeah, but every paint party, how long do my brushes last? I have to figure that kind of stuff out. What are my cost of goods for my paint? How many parties can I get out of one 64-ounce, bottle of paint? That stuff's not fun, and it does take time, but you have to do it. But I will say, don't get discouraged if you don't have that stuff up front. Because that can be one of the most detrimental things, is thinking, I don't have it all together, so I'm not gonna start. I just told y'all, I started with random brushes that didn't even match out of my parents' garage in Uber. And you guys are sitting, like, watching this interview in my studio right now. I have not borrowed $1 from a bank, a lender, or anybody. Like, it has literally been grassroots. You can do that.
And I think that's the thing, right? You have a spark, and most of the time that spark gets put out because either you're not surrounded by people that's gonna cause it to ignite and turn into a full-fledged fire, or you yourself put it out because you start thinking about all the things, right? Instead of just moving into the thing. But I want to say sometimes it's the difference in people too. How motivated are you in your circumstance, in your situation? I tell people all the time, I said, I'm a cat against the wall type of person. Like, you don't want to put me up against the wall because I'm going to scratch that. But I feel like, God said, no, I'm putting you up against another wall because you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And I already know how you gonna fall your way out of it. And I'm like, and people don't understand, like, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. And in business, you're going to always be uncomfortable until you become comfortable. Because you're going to be constantly learning things, doubting yourself, double checking things. Like, it's not as easy. But, and everybody knows, because I talk about it all the time, children. I was like, my biggest influence or my motivator is watching kids. Like, just watching this fire that they have to just do simple things such as walk. And when you're going into business, you might not, because like a lot of people are like, well, you need to go to college. College is very important in doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, no, it's not. That's teaching a skill. That's teaching certain aspects of life. But even in college, you have to go do outside things to pass. So in business, I definitely look at it as you starting off as a child or a baby, learning how to roll, learning how to scoot, learn how to crawl, learn how to walk, learn how to run.
And that's a great analogy, because I think because we're in our adult selves, we feel like our business is supposed to be that too. And it's not. Like they say, any business, they give you at least 5 years to not be successful. You're supposed to take a loss. Like tax-wise, you're essentially going to take a loss those first 5 years. If you don't, I mean, hey, you're doing phenomenal if you don't, right? And the thing about that I think most people don't realize is it's the belief that you have to have that continues into the actions, right? So the more you believe, the more the actions happen. The more actions you do, by the sheer law of averages, you're gonna get results. Those results then do what? Feed right back into the belief.
As a role model for other aspiring Black females, what advice would you give someone wanting to work in this industry or to live out their passion and their dream?
Listen, I'm gonna talk directly to y'all.
Okay.
To the camera. I'm gonna talk directly to y'all. Any and everything you really put your mind to, you can do. Like, you have the ability to connect to whatever it is that you're passionate about. Now, I know I told my story of friends and family being very supportive. Not all of them. There were a few. There were a good few, but not all of them. But sometimes you have to take that negativity, that disbelief, and find it as even more belief for yourself.
I'll show you better.
Correct. I use your criticism as motivation to prove you wrong. And sometimes, even if it's just like that, now I ain't saying you gotta do everything in like a negative spirit or anything like that, but sometimes enough criticism will put a fire under you to be able to make you get up and move. See, I know for me, my thing was, my mom wasn't too happy about it. So I had an obligation to make sure that even if it didn't last forever, it lasted long enough to fulfill my obligations to her. Through this. I promise you this is what's gonna happen, and that's what it is. But you can't, just like you don't like people to break promises to you, you can't break promises to yourself. And that's my advice, is whatever you're gonna promise you, do it. Do it, because if your significant other broke a promise, oh, we'd be mad, right? If a sibling, a friend, a parent, whatever, if they broke a promise, oh, we'd be big mad. But we lie to ourselves all day long. Stop lying to you. If it ain't what you wanna do, don't do it.
Message.
But that's it. Like, when I tell you, you have to find out what you love. And when you think about the idea of unconditional love, I unconditionally love what I do. Whether I made another dime doing this, I would still do it. And I think that's what continues to fuel that fire, is I'm not, while I like money, I'm not money motivated. I am motivated by allowing myself to see and inspire other people to unlock the artist within them. I look at it as an impact list, not an income list. So figure out what your impact is. That's my advice to you. If you figure out what your impact is, the income will follow all day long.
I love everything that you said. Like, it's just, man, like, I feel like I want to go home and paint.
That's it. Make some jewelry.
Yes. Yes, actually, me too. But I want to say this has been a wonderful interview, and I definitely thank you again for allowing us to be your space and you being able to tell your story and share it with the other brown girls on our community and in our community. So Mondays is our book club. We are on TikTok live at 8 p.m. and generally they're posted on Wednesdays on YouTube. Gotta post it now. But we do our weekly interviews. They do air every Tuesday around 7 to 8 p.m. So make sure you tune in to that on YouTube. If you're not following us, make sure to follow us at BrwnGrIz ENT on Instagram and TikTok, and BrwnGrlz Collective on Facebook. It has been great, you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next time. See you later, Brown Girls. Next time on the BrwnGrlz Collective, remember to like and subscribe.